How Pakistan's military spending can hamper its own economy explained. Pakistan's economic plight is globally known. Its alarming inflation, negligible foreign exchange reserves and overwhelming debt have led to massive unemployment and increased poverty. But Shehbaz Sharif government's priorities are clear. It has decided to increase its defense budget by 18 or the next fiscal, beginning in July, bringing military spending to over 2.5 trillion rupees. The announcement is likely to be made in the budget presentation on June 2. Economists warned that the latest increase in defense budget, as a response to escalating tensions on the borders, risks derailing economic reforms in the country and squeezing social spending, reported the Times of India. What is the current status of Pakistan economy at present? Pakistan's debt-to-GDP ratio is around 70, with the country facing a mounting trade deficit of 25 billion 2024 and import cover for just 3 months. Its inflation stands at over 38, and foreign exchange reserves at 15 billion, barely enough to cover 2 months of imports. The country continues to survive on International Monetary Fund IMF bailouts to avoid default. Its GDP growth in the fiscal year 2,425 expanded by 2.68, falling short of the government's target of 3.6. This underperformance underscores the challenges in achieving robust economic recovery. The State Bank of Pakistan has reduced the policy rate to 12 as of January 2025, aiming to stimulate economic activity amid declining inflation. As of February 2025, Pakistan's total public debt including both domestic and external liabilities stood at Pkr 75.3 trillion 270.86 billion, up from Pkr 74 trillion 266.19 billion in December 2024. Pakistan's external debt was reported at 131.1 billion as of December 2024, accounting for approximately 35.1% of GDP. In fiscal year 2025, it faces external debt repayments exceeding 22 billion, including nearly 13 billion in bilateral deposits. How military spend will derail economic reforms. Pakistani army has always taken precedence in the country's governance, law and order and even economic matters. It has, many a times, bypassed the government to achieve what it wants. The military absorbs a substantial portion of the GDP. For FY 2025, it stood at 2.3% of the GDP, exceeding equivalent figures for India, China, and the European Union. Data suggests that Pakistan's defense budget experienced an annual growth of 12.6% between FY17 and FY25, compared to India's 8%. In contrast, education and healthcare were allocated merely 2% and 1.3% of the GDP, respectively, as reported by Money Control. In addition, the military has developed extensive private conglomerate, commonly referred to as MILBUS military business, through which it has embedded itself across various sectors such as real estate, banking, manufacturing, agriculture, shipping, education and media. What is driving Pakistan's military spending increase? Pahalgam attack. The 18 hike was spurred by the terror attack in Pahalgam on April 22, linked to Pakistan-based Lashkar-Taiba's proxy, the Resistance Front. India's retaliatory measures, including suspending the Indus Waters Treaty and downgrading diplomatic ties, heightened Pakistan's security concerns. Regional threats. Pakistan prioritizes counter-terrorism. Example against Tehreek-Taliban Pakistan, border security with Afghanistan and Iran, and protecting Chinese investments under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC). Economic constraints. Despite economic challenges, double-digit inflation, a 9 trillion rupees debt servicing burden, and reliance on IMF loans, Pakistan continues to prioritize defense. The 202,526 budget is smaller than 202,425's 18.877 trillion rupees due to reduced interest expenses, but defense spending remains robust. China partnership. Pakistan's military modernization, including J-35 jets and nuclear missile programs, relies heavily on China, which supplies 4.3% of global arms imports to Pakistan. 201,923. This dependency limits diversification but supports cost-effective acquisitions. Pakistan's dependence on IMF. Pakistan's worsening economic instability is underscored by its increasing dependence on IMF bailouts. 25 loans since 1950, including 4 in last 5 years. As of March 31, 2025, the country's outstanding loans from the IMF stood at 6.2 billion, according to the fund's data. The IMF has defended its recent bailout package to Pakistan, saying the country had complied with all set conditions required for the aid's disbursement. However, the IMF has also imposed 11 new conditions for its 1 billion bailout tranche this M, citing risks from escalating India-Pakistan tensions. These conditions include a Pkr 17.6 trillion 63.31 billion budget and agricultural tax reforms. Swipe left for next video. This March, China disbursed a 2 billion loan to its ironclad friend Pakistan. It needs to repay over 22 billion in external debt in fiscal year 2025, including nearly 13 billion in bilateral deposits, Fitch said. Thus, the Pakistan Army's elites appear more invested in preserving the illusion of strategic competence with India than in uplifting the lives of their own citizens. Worse still, they do so while borrowing money from global institutions like the IMF, overlooking reforms and accountability. Latest blogs.